Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome someone I have known for a very, very long time, someone who I respect, someone who is highly respected, recognized as an entrepreneur, a good friend, a woman of substance, now an author from New Delhi, India, Mrs. Meena Bindra. Meena ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and thank you for having me. Great pleasure.
Thank you. Uh, Mrs. Bindra is the founder of Biba India, and I think every one of you who will be listening to our conversation will have seen the incredible brand Biba is. She's also an author, which of a book that has just been released, and it's a book titled "A Stitch in Time." And given the incredible journey Mrs. Bindra has had, she has understandably been recognized, awarded, and felicitated several times. So, my first question for you is: how would you describe the early days of Biba, and what was your initial vision when you started?
I think the early days, Ashutosh I started really small with a bank loan of 8,000 rupees.
Right.
So I didn't have a great vision. I just wanted to earn extra pocket money
Hmm.
or little extra income working from the house.
Correct.
But yeah, there was a little bit of nervousness, lot of anticipation, lot of excitement.
Hmm.
So I think this is what I remember feeling at
Amazing.
that time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you were or you have been a naval wife, and I remember Admiral Bindra very well. Uh, what was the encouragement from you other than pocket money to have started your own company? And did you ever think it'll become so large?
Well, I didn't really start a company. I wanted to earn a little extra money
Hmm.
to augment the family income.
Correct.
Government salaries are not so high.
Hmm.
I had two school-going boys. I wanted to give them the best education.
Hmm.
So I thought if I could earn a little extra
Hmm.
money,
Hmm.
it'll help. So I wasn't thinking of forming a company or
Correct.
something with 8,000. You can only think that
Absolutely,
much.
absolutely.
You know.
But given, the amazing amount of social commitments you had as such a senior naval spouse, how did you manage both a business, and that time you must have been involved in the creation and production and marketing, as well as all your social commitments? Plus, you spent a lot of time out of India as well.
I think that was one of my main challenges.
Correct.
Like a lot of people ask me as a woman entrepreneur, what
Mm,
were your challenges?
mm,
I think the multitasking was one of the main challenges.
mm.
Running a house and running a business. And those days, men didn't think they need to help in
Correct.
any way. I mean, my generation of men,
Mm,
they thought they are the bread earners and that's it.
mm.
So the house and the children were totally the woman's domain.
Correct.
So I was juggling between the two, but
Mm,
I was enjoying my work so much
mm,
that it didn't feel like a challenge or a
mm.
core. It was just fun.
Hmm.
It was growing so fast. I was doing so well.
Hmm.
I didn't think I would. So I was really immersed in it.
Amazing. And at what stage did you realize that, you had a lot of sense of design? And what were some of your inspirations for your early designs? And I know my wife used to wear many of your designs in the early days when we got married.
Well, there were no NIFT, there was no fashion industry.
Yes.
81, people used to get their clothes stitched from tailors.
Hmm.
So there weren't any books, there was no internet. So the inspiration had to come from within you,
Absolutely.
your own aesthetics,
Hmm.
and a few books or the movies.
Hmm.
You saw what the heroines were wearing. And but as you go along,
mm,
you kind of get a feel of it,
mm,
and you keep learning, keep improving,
mm.
and keep innovating.
Very interesting. And, since you are still one of the main, or you have been one of the main designers, and I was talking to people in your company and your family, and they were saying the few designs that you do even today are amongst the biggest sellers. My question is, what is unique about Biba's designs, and why do you think they resonate with Indian women?
Well, I would say that firstly, the Biba designs are very simple.
Hmm,
They are not over the top. They
hmm,
are practical, they are comfortable.
hmm,
And in my customers' words, which most of them told me that they're very elegant.
hmm,
So I think they fit all age groups. They are classics. They can be worn at any occasion.
hmm,
One doesn't feel out of place.
hmm.
So I would say they are graceful, they are elegant, and yes, they are practical, and they are affordable.
Very well
I
said.
think our main USPs, they are very affordable,
Hmm,
and they are good designs.
hmm. And I should have asked you this question earlier, but what does the word Biba mean?
Biba is actually a Punjabi word.
Hmm,
It's from Punjab.
hmm,
Since I was making salwar kameez
hmm,
to start with,
hmm,
I thought it should have a Punjab connotation.
hmm,
So Biba is a term of endearment in Punjab used for a
hmm.
young girl.
Very nice.
बड़ी बीबा कुड़ी है बड़ा
Hmm,
even for boys बीबा
hmm,
मुंडा
hmm.
means a nice
Correct,
lovable,
correct.
you know.
And from what I know of you, you have basically seen a lot of North India, and you have your roots in between UP and Punjab. How have your own roots and some of your own cultural values influenced your designs and your approach to business?
Well, I'm actually a Delhi girl.
Hmm,
I was born, brought up in Delhi, studied in Delhi, and got married in Delhi.
hmm,
So Delhi was a city quite fashionable,
hmm,
and I was in Miranda House,
hmm,
which was supposed to be a very smart, college
hmm,
where all the latest fashions were followed religiously.
hmm,
So I think that helped me a lot. We used to design our own clothes. We had a tailor at home. So
hmm,
initially, yes, that, and of course, I was exposed to a lot of good clothes
hmm,
at home.
hmm,
We used to wear nice clothes and pure fabric. So that is all I can say.
hmm.
My exposure was there a little
Right,
bit.
right. And let's go back now to 2004. And when I was reading about you and reading in your book, you mentioned 2004 as a milestone when you opened your first store. Tell me, what was your own emotions when you opened your first store, and what were some of the challenges that led up to the opening of the first store?
Well, we thought that this is the way forward for
Hmm,
us. Till then, we were wholesalers.
hmm,
So we were supplying to big multi-brand outlets, to a
hmm,
lot of boutiques. So that was our business model.
hmm,
But at some point, we realized that going ahead, this is not going to take us further.
hmm,
So we have to build our own brand Biba,
hmm,
and we have to start our own retail.
hmm,
So yes, initially we were quite hesitant.
hmm,
We were a little not sure
hmm,
how it will do because we'll have fixed expenses
hmm.
and how the sale will be. So far we had the comfort of a multi-brand where there were footfalls.
Correct.
Now we thought when we open our own store whether
Hmm,
we'll have the same footfalls.
right.
But yes, we opened two stores in Bombay. They
Hmm,
were our first stores
hmm,
with a lot of anticipation
hmm,
and a bit of nervousness.
hmm,
But we were highly thrilled to see that we were profitable
Hmm.
from the first month.
Amazing.
So that was very encouraging.
Hmm.
And that changed our whole, it was very transformational for us.
Hmm.
It changed our whole trajectory.
Right.
We entered retail for the first time.
Hmm.
So we learned also, we were face to face with our customer.
Hmm.
So we understood the demand better.
Hmm.
We improved our product to suit the demand.
Hmm.
So in every way, it was very transformational.
Hmm. Amazing.
And yes, and money, we were getting everyday cash. So that helped us in our future growth a lot.
Yeah.
So we
And
kept
from
opening.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
from two stores then to over 400 stores today, and I'm sure you're present in many other multi-brand outlets as well. How has this journey been, and what has been behind this amazing success? Or who has been behind this amazing success?
Well, I would credit Siddharth a lot
Hmm.
because he had the vision and he had the capabilities and the
Right.
skill to take it forward
Hmm.
to run a big organization,
Hmm.
which probably I lacked those skills.
Hmm.
So I think Siddharth is quite a lot instrumental in taking Viva where it is
Hmm.
today.
And from your initial start of being there for women only, you have launched many other different ranges. Tell me more about so many other ranges of products you've launched. I know there's the children. I know you've launched, a different option of different brand as well. I think it's Rangraze. So
Rangriti is a
Rangriti.
second brand of
Hmm.
Viva,
Hmm.
which was launched keeping the smaller towns in mind,
Hmm.
where Biba wasn't present. So we initially we thought we'll just sell it from online and not open Rangriti stores.
Hmm.
That was the thought that it will be slightly cheaper
Hmm.
and a more mass product,
Hmm.
which will compete with the unorganized retail.
Hmm.
But then, as time went by, we wanted to open Rangriti stores, and now we have quite a few
Right.
Rangriti stores.
Okay.
So it's doing well. It's growing.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
It has a totally different language
Okay.
than Biba. We
Hmm.
didn't want it to, be the same. So it's catering to a more younger, more experimental, more aspirational, small town or big town also, because now
Consumer, yeah.
there's no
Hmm.
difference.
Hmm.
So, a younger crowd who's more willing to experiment.
Hmm. Amazing. Miraji, you also spoke about how the consumer relates with the Biba brand because the designs you said are simple and affordable.
Hmm.
How important is customer trust in building a successful brand, which has been exemplified by Biba?
Well, I think customer trust is the most important
Hmm.
factor
Hmm.
in building a brand.
Hmm.
Because unless the customer trusts the brand, they
Hmm.
will not keep coming back to you.
Hmm.
So I would say this is the single most important factor.
Hmm.
And I mean, one should look at the customer's needs
Hmm.
and provide them a sense of comfort and a sense of trust that they can close their eyes and buy the product and
Right.
it'll always be good.
Hmm.
So that's how you build customer trust.
Very interesting.
And I
And
hope you
I'm,
succeeded in that.
oh, I'm sure. I mean, given this the brand, it is doing so well. But in the early days,
Hmm.
you must be interacting a lot with customers. Did their feedback have an influence on your designs?
Well, sorry, did
When
they?
customers were buying your products,
Hmm.
and if they, they must have been giving you feedback that, maybe you should do
Yes,
this or maybe
yeah,
you should do this.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
that influence your designs as well?
Yes, it did. It taught me a lot. and getting different viewpoints, and but they were always quite happy. They
Hmm.
said your suits are very nice, very
Huh.
simple. Even the shop, initially I was applying to Benzer,
Hmm.
which was the first multi-storied outlet in Bombay.
Hmm.
And I was their first supplier. I
Hmm.
set up the whole SKD department.
Hmm.
Later on, they got other designers, but they always used to tell me कि मिसेस बिंद्रा आपके सूट बहुत सिंपल लगते हैं,
Hmm.
but they sell a lot
Nice.
compared to other designers.
Hmm.
Yours are very simple.
Hmm.
So they used to look unbelievingly
Hmm.
and a little bit of admiration,
Amazing.
and always tell me आपके हाथ में जादू है,
Hmm.
whatever you make sense.
Very interesting.
That was my initial response
Very
to the
interesting.
designs.
Very interesting. Now let's talk about your book, which has just been released. The book is titled A Stitch in Time. And before I ask you any questions on your book, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners to go and check Mrs. Meena Bindra's book on Amazon. I have a copy as well. Um, what was the motivation to write this book?
Well, initially, a lot of friends used to tell me, even my some of our colleagues used at Biba used to tell me, why don't you write,
Hmm.
so that your journey is documented.
Hmm.
But I felt that it's rather presumptuous of me to think that anybody will want to read my story.
Hmm.
But at one point, both my grandchildren,
Hmm.
one was 6 and one was 10,
Hmm.
they would come every day and ask me, tell us, Dadi, how
Hmm.
you started Biba.
Hmm.
And I kind of told them, but they would come every day and wanted to hear the same story every day.
Hmm. Hmm.
And would go on saying, tell us more. And sometimes they were excited and they
Hmm.
would clap. So I felt "Ki this is must be interesting story if they want to hear it again and
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
So maybe I should document it.
Hmm.
And they inspired me to write this book.
Hmm. Amazing. Well, I've been seeing you for the last so many years, and I'm fascinated with the amazing journey you have had. But my next question is that Biba is now a household name. What does this success mean to you personally?
Well, when I look back, Ashutosh, I feel a great sense of fulfillment because having created something which I didn't think I had the potential or the ability, but as it kept growing organically, so yeah, I feel a sense of pride, a great sense of fulfillment, and I hope that people who are working in Biba also
Hmm.
achieve their full potential
Right.
and they do well.
Well said. Well said. What are some of the biggest lessons you have learned from facing so many complex challenges as you have built Biba?
Well, I think there's a challenge every day in business.
Hmm.
You've also been an entrepreneur
Hmm.
yourself.
Hmm.
So you know that there's always something happening somewhere.
Hmm.
So you just take it in your stride, be positive, don't get too worked up, try and solve it,
Hmm.
and give confidence to your team that it's fine.
Right.
It'll, you know, we can move on.
Very true. And as they say, when you're faced with a challenge, you say, this too shall pass.
Do?
No, when you're faced with a challenge, you can tell your team, this too shall pass.
Yeah, of course.
Hmm?
I tell myself every day.
Absolutely. I have time for two, three more questions. Your story reflects an amazing amount of resilience. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs about handling setbacks?
See, to start a business and to continue, you need a lot of resilience. there are times when it's when you feel like it's too much. Why don't I close it? I've had enough.
Hmm.
I mean, all these
Yeah,
thoughts do come at times when you
correct.
find that running a house and dealing, growing up boys
Hmm.
and other social duties. There were times when I was very overwhelmed.
Hmm.
But then I thought, now having come this far, it's better to continue
Hmm.
and not give up on on a weaker moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Two more questions. What does dare to dream mean to you, and how has this influenced your path?
Dare to dream means one should have a vision which looks quite impossible. Actually, Siddharth really imbibes this dare to dream philosophy. He sometimes makes most audacious plans,
Hmm.
and we feel how is one going to achieve those,
Hmm.
but then go for it, make it happen. So the dare to dream means think of something which at that point you think is not possible
Hmm.
and go for it.
Hmm.
And mostly it becomes possible.
Hmm. Okay.
So think big,
Hmm.
dare, and dream bigger.
Hmm.
That's what it stands for.
Amazing. And my last question for you, um, and I'm sure a lot of people will learn about your journey in much more detail when they read your book. What is the one message you want readers to take away from your book?
Well, especially for the woman,
Hmm.
I would like to say that they should never think that they can't do it.
Hmm.
If I could do it, anyone can do it.
Hmm.
I had everything against me,
Hmm.
nothing going for me.
Hmm.
I had no money. 20 years I'd been a housewife. My husband was in a transferable job.
Hmm.
I had no training for business. I mean, if you see everything, the dice was totally against me. But I still started, I still continued, and here I am.
Well
So
said.
I think every woman has the potential if she's willing to focus,
Hmm.
work hard, and not give up.
Very well said. And on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me about your own incredible journey. I have known you for so many years, but I really consider it a privilege to be able to record a podcast with you and record this kind of your journey for posterity. Thank you for talking to me about how you started Biba, about all your learnings, about some of the amazing insights you've had about design, about your consumers. Thank you also for speaking to me about your book. I wish you lots of success for your book and also wish you lots of success for Biba and a very long and happy, healthy life. Thank you, Meenaji, for talking to me.
Thank you, Ashutosh, so much. It's been a real pleasure to be on your podcast,
Thank you.
and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.